The main theme of tonight's full moon, happening April 1st, 2026, is completion. It's a time of completing an old cycle and starting a new one, but doing so in the best possible way. This full moon, I'm guessing by now, has already brought to your attention a whole bunch of stuff within yourself, maybe within some of your relationships, some of your habits, thought patterns even. It's showing you what is conducive to you moving forward in the most aligned, optimal way, and also showing you very clearly what is not, what is holding you back, or at the very least, making your journey unnecessarily difficult. This is also a time of just illumination, seeing things as they really are, not as you're conditioned to see them, not as you want to see them, but as they are. And from this truth, however, and only from it, can you move forward in the best way. So I know I haven't given you all that much. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is break this video down into 4 more specific and digestible themes that you might be experiencing right now during this period within the full moon range, anywhere between 3 to 5 days before and maybe 3 to 5 days after April 1st, 2026. Theme number 1, completing a cycle. What I mean by cycle is both an inner cycle that relates with an outer cycle. For several months now, you may have been gearing up to change. You may have had the beginning inclinations that your life is going to be shifting you into a new direction, a new theme, a new chapter for quite some time. And many of us have been going through the transformation, the healing, the uncertainty, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, up and down, not really knowing where we're going to find ourselves landing at the end of the day. And by now you probably have an idea of where life has been trying to take you. But what you might feel more completed on is how you will best show up to meet this new chapter, and more precisely, the approach that is the best fit for you to take. I know that sounds kind of wishy-washy. I'll give an example. I see it all the time with my full-time purpose business students. A lot of times people will have this strong desire, this strong passion to start a business that helps people, a full-time purpose, as again we call it. And what can happen a lot of times is this creative, potent energy can sometimes be difficult to reconcile with your existing life. You know, for example, to start a new business, for you maybe to start a new chapter, there's usually a lot to know. There's usually a lot you don't know, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt, a lot of questions, and a genuine lack of awareness of how to go about it. But what can sometimes happen is that pull to do it can be so strong and influential that you sometimes feel this pressure, like, I have to do this now. But yet I still don't exactly know what to do, how to do it. And what can oftentimes happen, what I'm getting at, is because this calling, this new chapter pulling you, this new timeline luring you in, it can be so, again, influential and compelling. It can cause many people initially to like just jump into it. And it can feel very much like that's what the universe is asking. It's asking me to jump. I got to have faith. But then oftentimes, as we attempt to do this, we're met with just such a ridiculous amount of resistance, both inner but also outer, logistical practicalities that we've yet to figure out. The whole time we're thinking it's testing my faith. I got to keep going ahead. But as we keep going ahead, it gets harder and harder and harder. More and more resistance comes up. It doesn't stop. And then we start to wonder, am I even cut out for this? It can lead to a lot of self-doubt, a lot of shame, a lot of just, I'm not good enough. The spirit wants me to do this thing that, man, God, I'm trying, but I'm just not capable of. And a lot of times the path is not false. Nothing wrong with you. It's the approach oftentimes can be a little bit too aggressive. And this sort of conundrum a lot of these people I find fall into is, on one hand, They're calling, it's still calling them. It's still real, it's still authentic, it's still aligned, but they got to keep the lights on. And then there's this feeling like maybe I should get a job. I don't want a job, I want a business. I want a purpose-based business like Aaron and Vic and all the other people I see doing it. And it feels like you're going backwards, settling, going back into the old 3D, which may have inspired you to go into this new chapter, and it can feel like a failure. I'm going through this right now. In fact, I had a dream last night that reflected it so perfectly that I couldn't even fall back asleep. I was like thinking about it. And in the dream, and this will be like my point of all this, I promise you. In the dream, I was way high up on a building. And the vibe of the dream was good. It was like sunny and bright. My dreams are not always like that. Sometimes I go into the shadow realms and things like that. This was different. It was very like high vibe, if you will. But I noticed all the people I like all love and care about, they were on the ground. And I felt like I should go back down there. It just felt like I want to go back down, but I was a bit afraid to go back down. I was so high up. And then these vines appeared to me. Still in the dream anyway, it seemed very sketchy. I'm way up on this freaking building. I'm not about to just shimmy down this like 100-story building with freaking vines. So I was like, I don't know. But in the dream, I had this intuition that the vines will support me. And I trusted it, and I grabbed the vines, and I slowly came back down to earth. And I felt relief. It felt better. And what does the dream mean? Why am I sharing this dream with you? Because what it told me was going down made me feel relief. Not being up so high prematurely all by myself was not the answer. It was saying, come back down. It's okay to come back down. It's okay to get a job. It's okay to utilize something from your past so that you can march forward towards your next chapter with less unnecessary pressure, with not so much anxiety, not so much strain. Your psyche deserves to not feel overwhelmed all the time. But a lot of times we look around and we try to like match what other people are doing, and we compare ourselves to other like heroic journeys we've seen, and we overexert ourselves. We're like overly ambitious at the expense of our inner child and our psyche and our security wounds that just, they need some time. They need some time. They want to go too, but they don't want to sprint up the freaking snowy, icy mountain when it's raining. They want to just make a nice, steady pace. And what happens when you do that? You're not so future focused. How many of you right now are so like waiting to get to the next chapter? What do you think is going to happen when you finally get there? There's going to be another chapter to start at some point, and then you're going to be racing up another mountain, and then you're going to die, and then you're going to have missed it all. I've done that. I've gone through that path, and it worked. I made it up a mountain, but at the expense of the most precious thing in life, which is being there each moment. If we're so fixated on this future result, so easily we miss what's right there in front of us. The beautiful day, nature, your friends, your family, time to just play, laugh, have fun, do nothing, kick back, be. We don't need to climb up the mountain to be a somebody. We don't need to reach the next chapter and have crystal clarity and be a full embodiment of this future upgraded version of ourselves. We're already good as we are. So this full moon might be allowing you, giving you a similar insight. I don't know how to say it without saying it, that I described. Where you might find yourself entertaining a slower approach, but you'll find, if you relate with me anyway, it provides you relief. It gives you a sense of stability, sustainability, and a much smoother, more enjoyable path ahead. Theme number 2, this full moon is very much emphasizing relationships. And what I have here is relationship truths being revealed. Anything hidden is not going to be staying hidden at this time. Your awareness, if there's genuine reciprocity, compatibility, resonance, sincerity, within all the different types of relationships you have, you will know, you'll have a very keen intuition into, who really has your best interest at heart, people's true intentions, true motives. And what you might be seeing actually is beyond just a mere intuition. You might be seeing more like a bunch of what they call Freudian slips. A Freudian slip is where someone accidentally spills out a little bit too much truth, a truth they were not really expecting to share. Life might be just aligning you with whatever circumstances that will bring these Freudian slips out. And then what you do with them is up to you. There is no real playbook. Depends on what you see. Maybe it's forgivable. Maybe it just is what needs to happen to inspire a real, honest, conversation, and you grow deeper. Or maybe it's beyond something you can accept. And that's a choice as well. It's not a wrong choice, but it is a choice. Sometimes when you see something, it's very difficult to unsee it. I remember in high school, for example, and I was actually out of high school. I was like my early 20s. And my wife and I, we went on a vacation, and I had a bunch of my buddies stay at my house to watch my dogs. And I got home, and I noticed there was something in my bedroom drawer that was stolen. It was missing. I knew it was there. It was not a mistake of mine, and it was missing. And I found out who stole it. And they apologized. But that was something that I could never, I forgave it, but I chose to not have that person in my life anymore, because that one sort of indiscretion of his really said a lot. And sometimes a little thing can imply a great deal. And what comes to mind is this book I read. I kind of had to muscle my way through it. It's a very thick book called The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And in the book, he talks all about this. He talks about how good people are at presenting a persona. And don't judge, you do it too. I have a persona, we all have a persona. But every so often, there's a Freudian slip. There's a breach, an uncharacteristic thing. Oh, he stole, that's not like him. What Robert Greene says, and I tend to agree, is that that's actually more representative of that person's character. Probably not the first, probably not the last time that's going to happen. And it would be wise to not lie to yourself. And it's uncomfortable. This is somebody I really liked. This is a close friend of mine. We had a lot of really deep talks and many years just spending lots and lots of time together, but I could not pretend I didn't see what I saw. And things were never the same. And this can seem like a bleak outlook, and on some level it is, but what's the alternative? To remain blind? To not really see people's true colors? Full moons, these full moons don't promise you ease and grace and joy all the time. What they promise is truth. And the truth stings sometimes, but the truth is necessary to access higher levels of joy, higher levels of divinity, higher levels of yourself. So anyways, it's that time. It's that time where that kind of stuff might be happening, whether it's just intuitive or it's something more bold. Sometimes it can spell, depending on the outcome, can vary tremendously. I'm not saying you're going to have to end a bunch of relationships, though you might, but you might not. But it is something that I think deserves to be talked about, because it is such a present theme right now, even though it's not the most enjoyable one. I think it's good to know that this is part of growth. I've seen a lot of people come and go in and out of my life. The more I grow, the more I change, the more I find myself and live it. It'll push some people away. It'll pull other people towards you. And regardless, what does improve is the quality of the relationship. or relationships. You will find yourself as you grow, the people who are not necessarily meant to be in your life, they will fall away one way or the other, whether they reveal themselves and you set a boundary or whether they just fade away on their own. And you will find yourself attracting people into your life, oftentimes in just bizarre ways. It's always astounding to me how the universe can work and how it can bring you the right people at the right time. And what a joyful discovery it is to find a new companion in this crazy life you find yourself living in, someone who really resonates with you, someone who you really feel comfortable and safe around, someone who genuinely wants the best for you. These full moons, they are part of these relationship upgrades. And that can also, just by the way, happen with existing relationships as well. You know, my wife and I, we've been married for 16, 17 years now. And we have a great relationship. I'm very proud and blessed to say. But we had to go through these periods an ungodly amount of times, very, very challenging times of integrating one another's shadow and accepting and having difficult talks and setting boundaries and over and over and over again. But the work we've done has resulted in a lot more of, like, I would say, authentic, safe unity. An authentic, safe space where we can enjoy life together. It doesn't come easy. So regardless, this full moon is going to help you wherever you need to be helped in this particular regard. And number 3, a new chapter and also a new identity. Not necessarily a new one, but more so an identity that doesn't include old identities that are kind of being seen through. You might just start to notice certain mental patterns, tendencies, old even like feelings that have just been a part of your life for so long, but are becoming activated as you start to change and grow and go in this new direction. Oftentimes, in order to keep going up the mountain, you have to lighten the load. And the full moon is going to do a pretty superb job of making you aware of what needs to go. And the good news is this will not be something you fight for. These will be parts of your almost like wounding from the past that limits your like belief in yourself, that causes unnecessary doubt, causes you to question yourself, causes you to sabotage your pursuits, causes you to push away abundance and love. These are all not the best qualities that you really want to keep around. I promise you. You'll see them and and what you might notice is the full moon, what it does oftentimes is it will activate them. So it can feel like they're more present in your life than ever. Like, oh my God, these are worse. I'm getting worse in these regards. They're being amplified. And there's a threshold. They're amplified so you can take a real good conscious look at them and see them for what they really are, which is an old pattern. You might have insights as to where they came from, early childhood, this or that trauma. It's you might have some of that, but it's almost like secondary. The important thing is just the awareness that I do not prefer this. This is not serving me. And that is what begins to kind of shift. It reminds me a lot of how I personally find myself experiencing the plant medicine ayahuasca. Everyone's different. This may not be your journey, and if you decide to drink it one day, this might not happen to you at all. But what does seem to happen to me on several occasions is I'll be sort of shown something about myself. Like, here's how you're showing up here, Victor. Here's like a scene or something that somehow brings this to my attention. And I'll be almost like, it seems like I'm given a choice. Do I want to go into that? Do I want to work on that? I don't have to always. I can say, you know what? I'm not up for it tonight, Mother Ayahuasca. What else you got? Oh, something else. And what this full moon is kind of doing for you is like showing you something. It's showing you something. But here's what happens. Anytime I say, okay, let's do it to the ayahuasca, I go into it and I find myself going through like a very accelerated healing cycle, you might say. And I'm able to kind of pop out on the other side free and resolved. But it's a choice. Right now, you're being shown stuff just like that about yourself. And what I suspect will happen is, for one, you're not on ayahuasca where there's no fear of things getting kind of out of like hand for you. You'll see it and you're naturally going to not like it. You might be becoming aware, for example, of how you want to do something, but you keep stopping yourself. It's unlikely you're going to see that and think to yourself, you know what? Maybe there's some good in this. You're going to say, I want, in your own energy, there'll be a I don't know, like a resistance to it, but not in a bad way. Kind of like, I don't want this. This is not helping me. And that is what I'm trying to say is what activates the healing. And it might take time. So right now, during this time, you might feel activated and in the process of trying to transcend it. But just the fact that those two things are happening means you are transcending it. The process is already well underway. And you might be surprised at how quickly and easily it can be resolved. In fact, I had something that's been kind of nagging me up until about an hour ago, honestly. And I was concerned. I was wondering, am I going to be able to shake this before I film this video? Because I could tell it was really like not weighing on me, but kind of weighing on me. It was like an activated old energy feeling, you might say, that was just tough to shake. I couldn't shake it for 3 or 4 days. I found myself just like carrying it, wanting it to go away, not knowing why it's there, wondering when it's going to resolve. And then this morning it just did. I had a dream last night, and then this one thing led to another. Did a little breathwork session before filming the video, and bam. And not only is it like gone, but it was like really concluded in a very beautiful way. In fact, I was sitting here when it happened. I did my breathwork session. I was listening to some Tool actually on my radio here, and I had this like epiphany, you could say. And as I had this epiphany, I saw this like synchronistic bird, a blue heron, just slowly kind of gracefully like crawl on by the sky. My eyes just happened to look up and see it. And it was like, that's a symbolic bird for both my wife and I. And it was just so cool. It was so cool to see how this old pattern, old frequency, you might say, was just so all-consuming. And I seemed powerless to it. Like nothing I thought or did, I tried to meditate, nothing I could do would shake it. But that's one of the beautiful things about the astrology, is that a lot of times it does the work for you in a way. I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was be aware of it and decide, this is not me. And then all the different experiences and dreams and things I had to go through perfectly led me to this breakthrough. So it's not necessarily a new identity. It's more so a cleaner identity, freer, more liberated, like you. A cleaner, more liberated you. You don't need to change your identity. You don't need to become anything else. You already are magnificent. The more you get to know yourself, the more you see the truth from the untruth, the subconscious wounding from your authentic nature, the more and more self-love becomes very obvious and just natural. Because you're already awesome. But you, like me, like most people, you picked up a lot of stuff. And these full moons are tough, but they help you remove a lot of that so that you can go forward and you can do what you came to do, whatever that is, fulfill your purpose. This is also a time of action. This is a time of going forward. All this transformation isn't necessarily a reason to not be going forward. But now you'll get to go forward, as you may already be in your own way, with just a lot lighter of a load, a lot more clarity, a lot less resistance, leaving room for a lot more joy. Theme number 4, you might find yourself wanting to connect with nature, wanting to find reprieve from all the noise in your life. You may be seeing just how disruptive and disorienting modern living is. Being on a computer. Most people nowadays, I work online, but most people still go on a screen a good amount of the time. And now in particular, more than even usual, there's just so much happening in the world, so much intensity, so much suffering, so much stimulation, so much unrest and imbalance. And we're all connected to it. And you might just be seeing how that is not serving you. How it just bombards a psyche. So influential. And in some way, shape, or form, you might just be fed up with it. Realizing that your life could be a lot better without so much external negative input bombarding your senses all the time. It makes life harder. It's meant to make things more convenient. Of course, in some ways it does, but there is a shadow side and a really big one. And sensitive people are picking up on this. It's kind of obvious, honestly, I think, but for you, it might be like an inner energetic, like almost impossibility to continue living this way. So a lot of times when these kind of things happen, people will feel drawn to something that's like represents the opposite. Like for me, for example, what I intend to do on a weekly basis starting this week is sleep in my backyard in a tent. That's my way of connecting, my kind of weak way of connecting with nature. But it's something I really just feel called to do, believe it or not. I imagine myself having a fire, not watching any television. I'm going to even buy a little lantern, and I'm going to go out there in my backyard, and I'm going to sleep. And I'm going to have my lantern, and I'm going to read and maybe go sit under the stars, because I feel like that is something that my soul wants. That is something my body wants. That is something my mind literally needs. And you see other examples of this as well. You see a lot of people leaving their successful life behind and going and living in a van, going and living in an RV, going and living in some other country where it's a lot more affordable, and sort of leaving the rat race. Something I did. I did that twice, actually. I moved into a travel trailer for the same reason. I wanted to be free of normal life, honestly, normal everyday living. It can really wear on a person. But here's the thing, what I've concluded is not say what to do or anything, but for me personally, for what it's worth, for me and my family, living in an RV, for example, or living in a tent especially, it's not sustainable. There are benefits to having like a normal, even apartment or a house or whatever. There are benefits to being able to call your friends up, and there's so many benefits to this. And I think the trick here is finding balance. But for me anyway, to find balance, it might result in sleeping in the backyard once a week. It might result in meditating maybe a little bit longer. It might result in more cold water exposure. These are things I do that recenter me with my real, natural, primal, authentic self. And now is a really good time to do that. And I know it can sometimes bring up like guilt. Like, well, maybe there's so much suffering in the world. Maybe, am I wrong just to tune it out? And this is a debate I don't care to have with you, but here's my take. What I've noticed as an influencer in particular is if I do too much of that, I can't do what I'm doing right here. It brings me down. It's not that I don't care. It's that over inundating my consciousness with negativity, it prevents me from doing what I can do to serve the collective. So I'm doing more good this way. I'm a better father, a more present husband, a better, calmer friend, less reactive if I'm not bombarding my senses with the truth of what's going on out there. It makes my life worse. You might be finding the same. And you might be having your own craving to do something that brings you in connection with nature. And it can be simple. I remember when I was living in Vegas, I got hung up on this concept of earthing. I bought this book and I bought this earthing thing you sleep on. And basically all it really means is going barefoot on the naked earth. walking around your backyard on the grass or in the dirt. And there's a physiological effect of kind of grounding you to the earth's frequency, but there's also more practical benefits of this as well. But nonetheless, like, it helped. It really did help. So whatever your version of that, if you're feeling that, I encourage it. But it's also got to be something you choose to do. Like even me, I keep writing down sleep in the backyard, but I haven't done it yet. And I know I need to. So this full moon also is a time of like taking action. Don't just have ideas of what you plan to do. It's also the time to like do it. And you can be my support group. If I show up in the next energy update and I haven't slept in the backyard, I invite you all to call me out in the comments section. And by the way, if you're interested, this coming Saturday, April 4th, I'm running a free online QHHT past life regression. It's a group session on Zoom. You can join if you'd like. And if that's something you'd like to participate in, I'll leave a link down below the video here. Just click it and I'll send you the Zoom link and the time and the details. But it's a free event if you'd like to come. So hope to see you there, my friend. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.